Well, Agatha All Along has been an absolute surprise hit for Marvel Studios, a wonderful show that's been more than a little fun and emotional. And with the success of this show, well, many fans are ready to talk about the next chapter of Vision Quest. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about what Paul Bettany had to say about the upcoming series, when it's going to start shooting, and why, me personally, I think this is going to lead into the West Coast Avengers. Now, we've been hearing rumors and reports that Paul Bettany would be returning to the role of Vision for a new Disney Plus series. Now, we've heard the title is going to be called Vision Quest, but at this point it doesn't really have an official title, but the project does have a kickoff date for production. Now, Vision himself, Paul Bettany, sat down recently with The Hollywood Reporter, and although he did decline to discuss any plot details, he's been with Marvel a long time and is familiar with the snipers, Bettany did reveal when shooting is set to kick off, and it's going to happen early next year. Now, his comments were pretty funny because he actually said that they were cooking up something that he was excited for, and snitches end up in ditches, making it pretty clear he wasn't going to talk about the series. Now, he did have a lot to say about Agatha, though, and flat out said how much he loved the series and how proud he was of Jacques Schaefer and what they brought to life in the second part of the WandaVision trilogy. Now, in case you didn't know, the Vision series will actually be the third entry in that trilogy, and even though some of us are hopeful to meet Speed in the finale of Agatha, it appears to me the character could be tightly integrated into the upcoming Vision series, wrapping up that trilogy of shows with the entry of 2 new Young Avengers. Now, as far as details about the show, well, they are still a little thin. We found out earlier this year the show had been totally revamped and added Star Trek Picard executive producer Terry Matalas as the showrunner, which is kind of something new for Marvel because in the past they didn't actually use showrunners, they more produced these like movies, and that's one of the things they've corrected. Now, according to reports, Matalas, who, like I said, worked on Picard, is said to have, and I quote, greatly impressed the top brass at the studio. Marvel chief Kevin Feige, an avowed Trekkie, even recently appeared with Matalas on a 2-hour episode of Star Trek podcast, Inglorious Treksperts. Now, the only other things we really know about the show is that James Spader is set to return as Ultron. Whether he's going to actually physically manifest in the world, be a voice in Vision's head, or be part of some sort of dream sequences, well, that's completely up in the air. But Spader made one heck of a great Ultron, and him returning to the MCU is a huge win. Now, at this point, there's no mention of Elizabeth Olsen, and I think that might be on purpose as we await the wrap-up of Agatha. We did see the sorceress apparently quote-unquote die at the end of Multiverse of Madness, but as Agatha herself said this week about her being dead, yes, no, maybe, and honestly, I fully expect the Scarlet Witch to return, and if she's going to show up anywhere, I think this Vision series could be the place. Now, as many of you know, the White Vision, along with the Scarlet Witch, was a huge part of the West Coast Avengers. And we have many of those other characters already on the board, and I feel like at this point that team might be forming up. It seems like the Armor Wars show is likely not to happen, and I felt like that was also going to lead us into this West Coast Avengers configuration, so I think elements of that show are going to be wrapped up in the Vision, and we also have Wonder Man in production, which has been flying under the radar, and Wonder Man is also a big member of that team. Now, there's been multiple other members who have been part of the West Coast Avengers, including various versions of Hawkeye, Tigra, and even Moon Knight. So I think Marvel is laying the groundwork for another franchise with Vision and some of these characters in the lead, and I think fans would gravitate to another Avengers team, particularly maybe one set in Los Angeles or San Francisco. I am really curious on how this Vision series is going to be received. Like Agatha, this isn't something fans were actually asking for. They really just wanted an answer to where Vision went, and the fact that they're developing it into a whole series suggests to me that Marvel, with their refocus on the stories that they've been telling and the important aspects of that, well, something's going to happen in this Vision series that ultimately helps the overall storyline and contributes to where Marvel is going with a lot of these characters. Paul Bettany was basically born to play this character. From day one, he's brought Vision to life in a way that is comic accurate, and I absolutely will be there on day one for this series, because if it's anything like Agatha, it's going to be a pleasant surprise. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, before you take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell for all the updates, and make sure you get every notification, because we do daily Marvel and DC content, and we don't want you to miss any news.